Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the final webinar in our Emerging Markets webinar series in association with UK Trade and Investment and the British Chambers of Commerce. My name is Gemma Price, and I am the Content and Community Manager at Open to Export. For those of you that are new to our webinars, Open to Export is a free online community where UK businesses come together to help each other become better, smarter, and more confident doing business abroad. We are proud to be supported by our founding partners, UK Trade and Investment, the Federation of Small Businesses, the Institute of Export, and HIBU. Now, if you haven't already, please do pop along to opentoexport.com, where there is a wealth of guides, webinars, and forum discussions on anything to do with export. The first webinar in this series provided an overview of a new initiative between UK Trade and Investment and the BCC. It provides UK businesses with an improved range of services from locally accredited experts that will help you research, break into and expand in high growth emerging markets that are often harder to access. We're very lucky to have with us three excellent local experts that will be sharing their knowledge and expertise with us. So we have Ross Hunter of the UK-ASEAN Business Council. We have Wai-Kit from the British Business Group in Vietnam. And we also have Dr. Amita Krishna from the British Malaysian Chamber of Commerce. Now you can ask questions to our expert panel using the control box on the right-hand side of your screen. So you'll see you have a questions or a chat box, and you can just pop your questions in there, and we will we'll gather them throughout the session and ask them in our dedicated Q&A time after the main presentation. We will follow up with any questions that we don't manage to get to after the session as well. Now, finally, don't worry about taking any notes. We are recording everything today and we'll be uploading it onto our YouTube channel. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the presentation. So over to Wai to get things started. Wai, are you with us?
I am. Let me just kick off by saying, okay, hello, or Xin Chào in Vietnamese, and welcome to the fourth installment of this Open to Export webinar series. If you missed the first three, actually you can catch up on YouTube, as Gemma just said. Just type in Emerging Markets Open to Export. Okay, today we're talking about Southeast Asia. We'll be exploring some opportunities and telling you more about the region. My name is Wai. I head up the British Chamber of Commerce in Vietnam. Because I was BBGV, the British Chamber of Commerce Vietnam. You might see the banner behind me. I'm based in Ho Chi Minh City, formerly known as Saigon, south of the country. We also has a small office up north in Hanoi, which is the capital of Vietnam. I worked in Vietnam previously for 4 years for UK Trade and Investment, and only recently appointed as the Business Director for BBGV last 6 months. On this presentation, as Gemma said, you hear from Amita from Malaysia and Ross from UK-ASEAN. So the aim of today's webinar is threefold. One is to give you insight, as I said, but also give you some top tips of how to succeed in this region. And finally, just explain some benefits of why you want to work with chambers like ourselves, and how you can get access to different resources and experts in the region. So without further ado, it's a very short introduction, but I'd like to hand over to Ross from UK-ABC to explain more about his organisation. Ross.
Thanks, Wai. Good afternoon, everyone. As Wai said, my name is Ross Hunter, and I head up the UK-ASEAN Business Council. Next slide, please, Joe. Again, very quickly about what we do and why we exist. It was felt that a couple of years ago, or probably about 3 or 4 years ago now, that British companies really didn't have a foothold in Southeast Asia compared to our competitors, the French, Germans, certainly some Asian countries as well. So we were set up really to really stimulate that pipeline of interest for British companies. And we do that through a variety of mechanisms. Such as these webinars, for example. We do physical events across the UK as well. We had our sizzling Southeast Asia Roadshow back in April. And we also partner with lots of other organisations as well to deliver that information to UK companies. The partners, as I said, are key for us. We work with UK Trade and Investment and diplomatic missions overseas. With the British Chambers of Commerce, as Ryan and Amita will testify a bit later, they've really ramped up their work. But also the ASEAN diplomatic missions here in London as well. Again, it can offer a range of services for British companies as well. So that's a very brief overview of UK-ABC and where we're at the moment. Next slide, please, Gemma. Why ASEAN? You'll hear this throughout all the presentations, and I'm not going to spend too long on the facts and figures, but it's impressive. There's growth right across the board from the big five looking to take on and challenge China for that FDI investment, and also the frontier markets as well. I'm not sure there's a market or an area in the world that has such exciting markets that are really opening up now. Burma, Laos, and Cambodia. Certainly Burma, we're seeing a real traction from British companies and interest there from British companies as well. So, it's a really exciting region. But again, one of the things I'd like to draw your attention to is a report that was recently produced by the Prudential, and I'm happy to send this out to those that request it. But it talks about, I think that the Pet Shop Boys had a song, Go West. Now, we're suggesting that you actually go east, because Prue, in this report, it talks about we as the UK cannot sustain this business as usual with our current trading partners. The growth rates in Western Europe are slowing, and there's a major shift in power that's taking place with the global economy and international trade. So the report goes on to list various scenarios as to what would happen if we didn't change the way we traded, and it counts in trillions of lost revenue in exports. So again, I'm very happy to send out this report. We'll talk again about the other guys will cover where the major opportunities are, but they're quite obvious. I would think infrastructure, major opportunities there, healthcare, education, and energy, which we can come back to a bit later as well. Next slide, please, John. This is one of those awful slides. It's just full of facts and figures. But again, I just want to draw a comparison really to the sort of the ease of doing business ranking and world GDP, and there's a bit of a correlation there. So the higher the ranking, the GDP ranking, the easier it normally is to do business in that market, with the slight exception of Indonesia, but possibly that's due to the size of the population. But again, this is just an indicative to give you an idea of how easy it's perceived to do business in those markets related to the GDP ranking. And apologies for the speed of this presentation. I'm on the pain of death if I don't do it in under 10 minutes. So next slide there, please, Gemma. Again, this just contextualises ASEAN. It puts it, where is it? If it was a trading bloc, which I'll come on to in a moment, in terms of GDP in trillions, it's greater than India, and it's just behind the UK. And if we fast forward 15 years to 2030, it will be the 4th largest single market. Indonesia will be in the top 10 largest economies, and there will be 300 new members of a middle class, so a massive consumer base for British companies to tap into. Next slide, please, Janet. A nice visual here. Talk about the centrality and the location. It just puts it in context into Asia Pacific as well. So China, India markets, Japan, and North Korea, South Korea, just the northeast, and then Australasia as well. So ASEAN itself has key linkages to wider Asia as well. And again, a population summary there as well, just putting it in terms of how big the population of ASEAN is compared to Europe and the US. Next slide, please, Jenna. We talk about ASEAN. I try to get my team not to talk about ASEAN because it's an acronym that's not really well known, but there it is in all its glory what it stands for. We tend to talk about Southeast Asia. It's a group of 10 countries, and they've got together really. It's very un-European because they work together in a non-interference, and they work in a consultative and consensus approach, which to the outsider can be quite time-consuming and quite slow. But who are we in Europe to judge this when we see what's happening in some of the European debates that we're having at the moment? So again, the key thing there is the ASEAN Economic Community, referred to as the AEC, which will come into being at the end of next year. And again, what it will do is try to create a single block where trade barriers and trade tariffs will be removed, so that once you're in ASEAN and trading in ASEAN, it will be seen as one entity. So again, access to that 600 million consumer base there, which is really important. Next slide, please, Gemma. No presentation is not complete without the challenges that any markets face. And as an exporter, you have over 200 markets to choose from. So I'm not trying to downplay the opportunities in Southeast Asia, but there's certainly some tangible challenges there as well. And again, I've mentioned the ease of doing business before. Corruption. It's there. It's everywhere. Again, it's to be aware of that perceptions index. So that when you are looking to invest in a market, you are aware of just the degrees of corruption that are perceived in those markets. And again, I'll come on to the Bribery Act in a moment as well. Massive economic and political disparities, but the fact that Singapore is 6 times wealthier than the poorest Burma is a real opportunity. As I said before, Burma's opening up massive opportunities and a really exciting market. And no better example of a political disparity is Thailand, which under new management was a phrase that I coined because when we had a Thai delegation recently, that's the phrase they termed for their country at the moment. So again, not unusual coups in Thailand, but to be aware that the country is under a military junta at the moment. One thing I have missed off from this slide is intellectual property. Know before you go. I'll come on to one of the organisations that will help you protect that when you go out there. But again, to be aware of these challenges when entering the marketplace in Southeast Asia. Next slide, please, Joanne. So know before you go. I just want to highlight 4 key agencies for you under 3 headings. Just pointing them out to you, and you can go and again we can provide more information, but there are links there to them as well. UK Export Finance. Used to be called ECGD, the government's export credit agency. Used to be for the preserve of the big boys, the Rolls-Royces of the world, where they would insure the big engines on an Airbus, but now there are a raft of services available to the SME to help them export and compete in the international marketplace. So they have a range of advisors all across the UK, so do please look to engage with UK-EF. I mentioned corruption, and again, linked to that is the Bribery Act 2010. I'm not suggesting you read the Act, but I would certainly suggest you read 2 documents listed there, the guidance to help commercial organisations and the Quick Start Guide. They're key to helping you understand the Bribery Act, because there's lots of misconceptions about the Act and what it means for British businesses trading overseas. Next slide, please, Gemma. The final 2 are related to IP, intellectual property, and there are 2 organisations here that to be aware of. The first is the UK Intellectual Property Office. That really works at a more government-to-government level, looking to develop an international IP framework. But they do have a presence here in the UK, which you can engage with, and also in Singapore. They have an IP attaché based in the High Commission in Singapore, which again, should you find yourself in the need to redress some IP issues, they are there to assist with you as well. On a more practical level, the ASEAN IPR SME Help Desk, there's a mouthful. They've got a range of fantastic advice there available for IP, from fact sheets to business tools and FAQs and case studies as well, which are really, really good. So do use those as well. Sorry, there's no link there, but we can certainly provide that, or you can just Google. I'm coming to the end now. It's a real quick run through. I've just got 2 very quick case studies. Next slide, please, Gemma. I'd like to talk about where would we be without cider. So the first is related to cider. A couple of guys went on holiday to Cambodia. They couldn't find a pint of cider for love nor money. Came back to the UK and decided to set up a brewery there in Cambodia. They're doing fantastically well, but they've got some horror stories of how they got there and some real learnings. So whilst they're set up there, they're very keen to engage with British companies and help them learn the lessons of what they did in Cambodia as well. So again, that's some real learnings there from business itself. Next slide, please, Gemma. And just in that middle picture there, it just shows the British ambassador having a tipple, and the head of UK Trade and Investment as well, who were instrumental in helping Brunties land their investment into Cambodia. Next slide, please, Gemma. Final case study, Lifesaver Systems, fantastic product. Seen it in action where they take dirty river water or any water, shake it up, and it turns it into pure drinking water, which is amazing. So they've got a fantastic product, and they're selling it all across Southeast Asia and wider markets as well. And again, they've got some great stories, great learnings of how they entered the market, how they found distributors, suppliers to help that, to help you learn from when you want to enter the market as well. So if you need connections with any of these companies, do let us know, and we can Next slide, please, Gemma. That's a lovely picture slide of the Lifesaver in action. And then the final slide, please, Gemma. That's us. There's the info there. Please do look at our website. There's lots of events coming up, and follow us on social media as well. We're happy to take any questions at the end. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for that great introduction, Ross. I've worked with Ross for a while, and talking about the exciting markets in Southeast Asia. My name is Amita Krishna, and I'm calling you from my home in Malaysia because it's 9 o'clock in the evening here. And a little bit about me, I came out to the region 12 years ago, and I was an SME who exported, and I've worked in all the countries in Southeast Asia apart from Burma. So over the next 10 minutes or so, I'm really going to focus on what the real opportunities are for you. I'm going to talk a little bit about the overseas business networks and what we can offer. Something about the business centres themselves, and then I want to talk to you about BISIA, Britain in Southeast Asia, and how we can help you regionally. So let's start off with the opportunities. I'm not going to go through every single one, but as Ross mentioned, there are plenty of opportunities in Southeast Asia. And if you look at some of the countries there that are highlighted, education is a big one, oil and gas is a big one, healthcare exists in a lot of the countries. Infrastructure, as some of the developed nations are looking to build their infrastructure and sort of like move ahead. For any of these opportunities, again, the contact details will be available at the end. And for specific ones, please do drop us a note or feel free to ask questions at the end. Next slide, please, Jenna. So what we can offer you. I'm not sure if everyone can still hear me, but I'm going to continue. So in terms of what the services we offer, in all the countries we actually offer the following key services. Basically, it's a front door to practical export from both the private sector and the government sector. You get practical advice from business experts and entrepreneurs, and this would be everything from...
It seems as though we have temporarily lost Dr. Krishna. She was dialing in from Malaysia, and we were having a few connection problems earlier. Why are you still on the line with us? Could you possibly step in here and talk us through kind of the region as a whole and what services are available to British exporters that are on the line?
Yes, sure.
Thank you.
So what we have here is we have Ross has said about the ASEAN region, and for us we are Southeast Asia, sort of a smaller part of the bigger picture, which have about 7 or 8 different chambers within it. So just picking up what Amita was saying, practical advice from experts and entrepreneurs. That's important to tap into the local expertise that is rich within these countries. End-to-end support, accredited Chamber of Commerce. All of our chambers in this region have either gone through the chambers the accreditation process, or are actually going through that process at the moment. For us in Vietnam, we're going through that process, getting our systems and processes in place so that we are accredited, so customers like yourselves that can trust what we want to pass on to you in terms of information and advice. So that's a very important part, accreditation. And also the fourth one about access to officials. Chambers is more than just access to our membership base. It's also about accessing the government officials around this region. We hold the key, along with UK Trade Investment, chambers are trusted partners of our local government officials. So we are actually give you a very, very wide range of opportunities, access to members, access to local experts, as well as the government officials. So that's what we offer. Next slide, please. So these are the core international trade services. I like to call it, we like to call it sort of a journey of a customer. So you start off with giving the customer some important information that is directly related to their business, get them interested in the market, a little bit about the economy, about the political climate, and then you start to get that interest up, and they will want to come and visit. So be up the market presence, and then they will come and visit the market, whether with the visit program or inward delegation, and then we can match them up with some buyers or suppliers or agents, or most of the time distributors of the goods and services. And then we have things like building the market share. We can help you to expand not just in one particular market, but a range of markets in our neighboring countries, where there's a joint venture or a local marketing strategy. And then, obviously, once you are in the market, you need to access to the international network around the region. So we do that as well. So there's a range of services that we provide. Next slide, please. It's coming through. This slide is about the business centers around the region. So the top left picture is the business center being opened in Vietnam, in Ho Chi Minh City, which obviously I was involved in. And the other pictures are from the region, from Thailand, Indonesia, and Malaysia. As you can see, they are very professionally equipped working spaces. There are some hot desks as well as meeting room facilities for visiting SMEs. These facilities are available to you in helping you to make your first step into the country. So it would reduce your risk or exposure to risk in terms of signing up a long lease contract, for example, within the office block, or if you want to meet a local supplier and you want a very comfortable and professional environment, we provide that for a small fee. So this is sort of support services to just help you get your first step or get your foot under the door within this region. Next slide, please. So Britain in Southeast Asia, we are an informal group of 8 markets that want to learn from each other. I think it started a number of years ago by my colleagues, whereby we want to learn from each other and have closer connections to share information and good practice. And this is one of the key idea about this particular region, that we are quite close-knit, and we can pass. If you visit Vietnam as an individual company and you're wanting to go to Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, I have that network and capability to introduce you to the team there and get you started. So once you come into the region, whichever country you decide to go on, it's very easy to then hop to different regions, explore opportunities there, because we have a close network of colleagues, which we are essentially doing the same thing, promoting SME business, trade promotion in overseas markets. As I said before, we all will be accredited to the British Chamber of Commerce in the UK, so we are all literally are the same sort of have the same DNA and same belief and same standard of operation procedures. So that will reduce your risk of being afraid of talking to somebody not trustworthy. We are accredited. We are a trustworthy body, a group of individual Chamber of Commerce. Next slide, please. So I had fun with coming up with these 6 top tips. It could have been longer. It could have been, but I thought this is our take on what is important in terms of doing business or doing business well in Southeast Asia. Before I start going through the list, is the first thing to say is, as Ross has already alluded to, the geographical area is diverse. Each market, dare I say, is very different and unique. So bear that in mind when I go through this list. I try not to generalize too much, but it's important to give you some flavor of the local circumstances. So the first one is about relationships. Here, you can read on the slide. Isn't that true anywhere? Relationship is important. I want to get away from just saying that relationship is important. That's true all over the world. If you strip everything away, is basically a business is a basic interaction between human beings, and you probably have a very good relationship with your UK partners and companies. So what I'm trying to say here is not just about relationships, it's about how to emphasize how you should establish good relationships within these markets. And that goes back to understanding and accepting that these regions are culturally, socially diverse. So if you take Thailand, it's very much a country has great empathy and links in relationship with royal family. If you go to Indonesia, a massive Muslim population. If you go to Vietnam, the country is very long and it has the north and south, and there's some nuances in trading, doing business in these two areas. And obviously, Singapore is a unique place. I've had close relations and historical links with the UK. So all these are very different, and I can go on to the other four markets, but a cliche is to say not one size fits all. Think about relationships and how you form them is more important than just to accept that relationships are important. Second one is, have you done your homework? Well, as we know, we all hated homework at school, and now because you have so little time, because you're running your own business or you're running a department or a team, you won't have time to do your homework. But I do urge you to do some homework, because basically that's what we're here for, to help you to reduce risk, so help you to do the homework. But it's important for you to take the initiative as well, to take an interest in the place that you want to do business in. If you start looking at the different countries in the region, maybe you want to use a tool called PESTLE, the PESTLE tool, which is acronym for Political, Economic, Social, Technological, Environmental, and Legal. If you start building a picture around PESTLE, then you can actually get a quite good, rounded understanding of a country quite quickly, and we'll help you to do that. So I urge you to do some homework if you can. But on the L bit and the T bit of the PESTLE, I want to reiterate Ross's point on about protecting IP. It's important that you understand and know how to protect your IP in this area, in this region. So legal issues are important things that you need to definitely know, and not rely on somebody else to tell you what the rights and wrongs of trading in the market. Thirdly, you are testing my patience. This is about, patience is a virtue, as we all know. And dealing from my experience in perspective, dealing with Vietnamese business people takes a little bit of patience, and you have to understand negotiation can take some time in some occasions. It's true in different markets. Things that may not work in the same time frame as you, and you need to acknowledge that. You also need to know about the decision processes of the partners that you're dealing with. Some government departments take a group consultation approach, so you talk about it and talk about it more, and then they refer to a next level, and then they refer to somebody else. So that is a part and parcel of the nature of decision making, and I think that's fine, just as long as you need to know about it rather than get frustrated about it. Invest time as well as money. Number 4. This is very much related to the previous top tip. Trading and accessing the market is not about investing money and then expect things to happen for you. You need to invest time in building relationships, A, building relationship, B, understanding the market, which I've touched on. So also take time to build one-to-one relationships. Come back to the market again. Make sure that you don't just come once. In Vietnam, you don't often you can do deals, one-off deals, but you don't often get a lot of benefits from just one-off deals. You need to come back to the market to have a chance to meet with the same people that you met the first time, to actually go forward in your business partnership. And so I invite you to spend time as well as money. Talk to local experts and seek professional assistance. This is important because, as I say to you, chambers like ours and our colleagues around the region, we have a rich source of local experts. Our board members, and in Vietnam, our board members and on our members list, there are people who've been here for over 20 or 30 years, and they have a rich knowledge of the market, and they're happy to share with you their experiences, good and bad. I give you some better top tips than I'm giving you now, because they actually know what's happened and the latest about the region. In terms of a business person's perspective, you need that, and also professional assistance. Some things that can't get away. You need to obviously access some accountants. You need to probably get some financial advice. You need legal advice, as I just alluded to, in terms of various laws and licenses you need to obtain. So make sure you choose the right professional service providers for your own circumstances and for your own needs. Try not, obviously, it's easy for me to say, try not to judge a service by just the price, but the whole overall package, price, added value, benefits, and how you conduct business and how you interact with each other is also important, because you are quite far away, and you when you talk to a service provider, you really want to engage them quite closely. Last one, I think I've gone through this very quickly, probably speaking too fast, so I will try to slow down. Except it might not work out first time. It's things about, it's what I said about patience. You need to be making sure that you understand the local way of doing things. You have to learn from mistakes. You have no right in terms of getting it right first time. It takes lots of effort and planning. That doesn't mean you can't get it right first time. I'm not saying that, but do prepare yourself not to be disillusioned or disheartened by a failure first time. You will learn from your mistakes. You learn from how you behave, or you acted, you interact with suppliers or members, partners. So the key thing is actually to learn from your mistakes. So these are the 6 top tips. I'm pretty sure Ross can give you more in the Q&A if you need to know more. Next slide, please, Gemma. 2 case studies, which are both from Thailand. My colleague from Thailand, and both incidentally are from the food and drinks sector, which relates to Ross's one of Ross's case study, Bronte cider. So this particular one is which one do we have here in front of me? Food. This is I won't go through all of the feedback, but this is essentially about our colleagues in Thailand providing an excellent program of visit to our customer Choice of Foods. Choice of Food is I understand croutons, instant soup, the crouton makers of these instant soup. And one thing I want to highlight is actually the last sentence in the feedback about the forecasted 200,000 estimated growth in this area. I know it's the estimated and forecast growth. It's not something that they've actually benefited into the balance sheet. But from experience, this program, this type of program, would cost the company around £2,000 or £3,000, depending on scope and depth of the requirements, the length of the program, how many days they are visiting, they visited the market. But if you just think that only equates to 1% or 1.5% of the potential value of the exercise that they've taken with our help from my colleague in Thailand. So I think That's fantastic. Things, if you can be a business like that, that's great. And we can help you to get business like that. And that's the whole point about doing webinars like this throughout different regions. We are actually trying to do the same thing here, trying to get you access to these great opportunities. Next case study. Do we have the case study, or do we take it out? Let's see. Oh, we don't. So the other case study was about Alco, actually. Is a craft brewery from Yorkshire. It's very similar in terms of what Thailand did for them to provide a fantastic program of meetings. So essentially our sort of raison d'etre is actually getting you in front of businesses to talk about business. So once we get you together, I know business people love to talk about business. So when you get together to the right contacts, the right people at the right time, things can happen. So that case study was essentially about, is the same as the previous transfer foods and Brunty cider. Anyway, we're on to regional contacts. So here I'd just like to point out some of the websites you might want to visit to access. We've got colleagues in Cambodia, Malaysia, Amita will hopefully come back later for the Q&A. Indonesia, that I spoke about as a country, and Philippines. I actually didn't touch on Philippines. A very interesting country, hundreds and hundreds of different islands within it, different pockets of markets potentially for you guys to explore. But obviously, you need our help to do that, to find out the right population or the right cluster of people to sell your wares. Next slide, please. More contacts. So Singapore and Thailand, and ourselves, BBGV in Vietnam. I'm very happy for you to give me an email, or drop me an email, or give us a call, or any other colleagues you want me to get in contact on your behalf. Please let me know. Incidentally, in I think Ross had already mentioned, in Myanmar, which is formerly known as Burma. I've gone to Burma has actually started a Chamber of Commerce only recently. It's opening 16th of July. Sorry. So therefore, I think we've been pushed towards Q&A. So let's go into Q&A mode, and back to Gemma.
Thank you to our speakers, Wai, Ross, and also to Amita for your presentation, and thank you to the audience for bearing with us while we overcame the technical hiccups. We are going to go to the Q&A session now. Just before we jump into that, I am conscious of the time. I think we had some excellent content delivered and a few curveballs thrown our way as well. So we are just overrunning so slightly. If you do need to get away, if you have other meetings or existing commitments, please do. We are recording this whole session, as I mentioned previously, and you can catch up on the Q&A session on our YouTube channel. The links will be emailed round very, very soon. So I'm going to go to the questions that we've received from the audience. We have received quite a few. I'm going to start off with a question from Andrew. Andrew is a British food manufacturer. And he's asking, looking to find out the best way to identify the local regulations and product requirements for food in the region. Ross, I'd like to start with you first of all, if that's okay. What would be the best way for Andrew to find out about these regulations and requirements?
Based in the UK, I'm going to refer to my colleagues in post. I mean, they're the guys on the ground. They're be the best place to answer that and be able to have those natural contacts. So I'm going to actually defer it to the other guys.
Yeah, sure. So for Malaysia or any of the other markets, what I would suggest is, if Andrew already exports, is to actually send the export codes to the specific market. To sort of like ascertain, you know, what opportunities there may be and what are the sort of tariff codes he may incur. And secondly, just sort of like drop a line outlining exactly what your products are. And then we can get back to you as project directors and let you know what the opportunities are for your specific products. Everything British is normally good.
Fantastic, Amita, and thank you to Ross as well for your input on that one. Wai, I'd like to go to you next, please, and I have a question from Elaine. Elaine sells natural skin care products primarily through online retailing via e-commerce. And Elaine would like to know, what are the opportunities for e-commerce in your market, and what's the internet infrastructure like? Are there also any rules or regulations she should be aware of with e-commerce?
I think e-commerce in Vietnam would be a great model to explore within the next 2, 3, 5, or 10 years, because with a young population and a rising income, the social media and internet penetration and subscribers are on a very high ascendance. There are 36 million, I believe, internet subscribers in Vietnam. And social media, 8.5 million type of, social media users. And smartphones is 17 million smartphone users in Vietnam, and rising quite quickly. So your business model of using the internet as a sales channel in a remote market is a good one. In terms of understanding the skincare and how to get into the market, obviously we need to do more research on that. We actually, at the moment, are helping a skin products company to explore the market, not in the internet channel and online retailing way, but nevertheless, it's about accessing the market for skincare products. So we had literally discussion with them, and the market is quite buoyant in that area. And so I do urge you to get to know a few markets in the region. Other markets will probably have the same sort of internet penetration as Vietnam, especially the higher population markets, the less mature ones. So yeah, come and talk to us.
Fantastic, thank you, Wai. And Amita, I'd just like to take that same question to you. Is it a similar kind of situation in your market, or is there a marked difference between markets within the region?
There is a difference between the region, because the uptake of e-commerce and mobile penetration varies. For Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, you've sort of like got higher penetrations, and if you've got skincare products, they'll sell very well in markets like Malaysia, Singapore, and especially if it's got anything to do with halal. So if you can get your products halal certified, you'll have a big market in some of the Southeast Asian countries, and especially e-commerce or setting up, a distribution channel.
Fantastic. Thank you, Amita. Thank you, Wai. Ross, I'd like to go to you with the next question, if I may. And it's just circling back to some of the comments that you made earlier. One of our audience members picked up on that. What are the practical implications of the corruption practices that you mentioned? And what would be your advice to a British business trying to negotiate and navigate through those possible corruptions?
Practical implications are you go to jail if you break the law. That's the bottom line. Look, I mean, the Bribery Act is nothing new. It just brings together and updates the law that's in place. So, it's an understanding of the law as you would operate overseas as you would do in this country. And if you're unsure of anything, it seek legal guidance in market. And again, the guys will be able to point you out into their members who are lawyers and operating on the ground, and also other businesses as well. And that's absolutely key, is working with other businesses and seeing how they work in the market. But again, the practical implications, you break the law, you go to jail. And there's been no test case at the moment for the Bribery Act, so the jury is still out, pun intended on that. But I think you really need to read the guide to the Bribery Act before you look to go overseas as well.
Okay, Ross, valuable insight there. Thank you very much. I'd just like to move on now to Amita. We've had a question in from Sebastian. Now, Sebastian is selling his products and services to B2B businesses. Now, he is aware there's large expat communities in these regions, and is there a marked difference between selling to an expat-owned business compared to a business that's owned by local citizens in your market?
Absolutely. It goes back to the way things are done and understanding the local culture. So again, it will vary from country to country, but in Malaysia specifically, there are, there are certain affirmative action policies that Sebastian needs to be aware of. So there are some quota systems. That doesn't mean to say that you can't do business here. It's just, speaking to people like us, seeking guidance on getting the right partner and the right advice to make sure the business is, effective and low risk.
Fantastic, thank you, Amita. On to the penultimate question now, and this one I'd like to take to Wai first of all, if I can. It's a question from Daniel, who is an SME, more the S of SME. Now, he's asking, is it appropriate for smaller companies to enter these markets? And can your organisation help the smaller British business find, meet and potentially win contracts and sales from local retailers and distributors?
Yeah, I mean, SME, we cater for medium and small size companies. The question we'll have, if I was in that position, is, am I export ready? Have I got time, resource to explore these markets properly, not just to think about, oh, I can just go there, buy a plane ticket. Actually, you can help me find a partner, and then there we go. It's about whether that company, how big or small, is it export ready. We've been helping companies with only 2, 3, 5, 10 personnel, but the interesting fact there is actually they are committed and they have the time, resources, and knowledge to enable us to understand better what they want. So it's possible to do that, but I would just look in the mirror and think, am I ready to export? And that question is yes. We very much like to help you to find your niche in the market, because a small company needs to find a niche. You can't compete with the bigger companies in the market. You have to find your own way around it, and we can help you to do that. Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic, thank you, Ross. Thank you, Wai. I'd also like to take that question to Ross. Ross, do you have anything to add on that one?
Absolutely. You're never too small to export, but just going off from what Wai said, I would suggest you first would contact your UK Trade and Investment International Trade Advisor as well, who will be able to see where you are on the export journey and be able to tell you candidly, if you're right for export at the moment as well, and taking it on to its logical progression that if he or she does think that you're right, you could look at possibly going on a trade mission as your first dipping the toe in the water, and then you're sort of cocooned with a group of other potential exporters. You're looked after from end to end with the British Chamber and UKTI as well, and you can sense for the market if it's right for you. But again, going back to what I was saying is, you've got to make, if you think you're right for export, then speak to the experts, and then just see if they think you are as well, and then off you go. We see many small companies exporting, so yes, go for it.
Fantastic advice there. Thank you very much, Ross. Okay, so final question now, and thank you to all of the audience for sticking with us while we got through them. Amita, just taking this one to you lastly, and it's all about language and localization. So we have a British business here who would like to know, do you need to have localized language skill sets in-house before seriously entering these markets, or will English suffice?
Again, it depends on the country you want to enter. So Malaysia, Singapore, parts of Indonesia, English is absolutely sufficient. Parts of Thailand, so some of the other markets, you will need local language support. But again, as chambers around the region, we can actually support you. Once you get into market with translation services or putting you in touch with the right people who'll be able to expedite and make that process pain-free.
Fantastic, thank you. And Ross, I'd just like to go over to you. I understand that you have some final points of wisdom regarding food and these markets. Could you share those with us?
It might sound trivial, but it is a serious point as well. Go on a diet before you go out and do business in Southeast Asia, because as part of the business culture, you'll be expected to, and it's a horrible thing to do, but you'll be expected to eat lots of delicious food out there. And these meals can go on a long time, but that's how you do business out in Southeast Asia as well. So be prepared, do be prepared for that, and accept it and embrace it.
Very nice advice, thank you, Ross. Okay guys, well I think that's about all the time we have. We have got more questions, but we will take those offline and make sure that you all get suitable responses and those questions are followed up on. I'd just like to thank everybody, all of the emerging markets and chambers representatives from those markets that have helped us to form the Emerging Markets webinar series. You can watch the entire series back on our YouTube channel, this webinar and the previous 3 webinars in the series, and all of our webinars are available on YouTube. So please do allow about 48 hours for this one to be uploaded. Now, the Open to Export community is a fantastic source of free help, support and conversation. Becoming part of Open to Export is very easy and it's completely free to register. And then if you do need any advice or guidance or clarification, you can just simply post your question on our discussion forum, or if you have something to share, why not upload an article on your business's current experience in that market, or digest some of the articles that have been uploaded from other community members. And if you haven't already, do tweet us at Open to Export and follow us on our social media platforms as well. And I think I'll leave it there. So thank you everyone who stuck with us this far. Thank you to everybody who's taken part in the Emerging Markets webinar series. And we look forward to seeing you on the next webinar. Thank you. Goodbye.